Okay, and we're gonna get it on speaker view. There's Cameron. All right, we're ready when you are, Cameron.
Perfect. 1 second, let me take a sip of water. As many people know, road rage can be extremely aggravating when you are agitated by another person. This, in comparison, has nothing on surf rage, as Senator and former pro surfer Fred Hemmings said. You think road rage is bad? Try surf rage. Surf rage can be defined as the anger you feel when someone is taking your wave or ruining your experience surfing. Surf rage may be something that is overlooked by people who do not know the sport, but can easily be identified by people who are seasoned veterans or even fairly new to the sport. Like road rage, there are people who cut you off or try to share the same lane as you, except the difference is it is on a wave. People who take your waves are also known as wave hogs, and they can be irritating and sometimes even dangerous. Three things that are annoying about surfing on the same wave as a wave hog are they can cause injuries, restrict movement, and steal the feeling of a personal experience with the wave. Surfing on the same wave as others can be very dangerous. Not only can you crash into the other person, but they can get seriously injured. Minor injuries can occur, but more dangerous injuries can happen to surfers. Although debilitating mishaps are becoming rarer, paralyzing neck injuries can be sustained when surfers dive into shallow water and hit the beach bottom hard. The bottom of a surfboard has fins that are very sharp and can cut through the waves when surfing. Just like the waves, these fins can dash through skin and leave deep wounds or just minor scratches. Possibility of being injured when surfing alone is still there, yet increases when surfing with other people, but even more when sharing the same wave. The situation can increasingly become more life-threatening if someone becomes unconscious in the collision, whether hitting their head on the other person, their board, or even the ocean floor. These injuries can make the sport scary, especially if someone else is hogging your wave. With another person on your wave, it also decreases the movements that you can do on the wave. When someone else is on the wave, it ruins the fun and makes it more worrisome. You are forced into guiding yourself away from the other or being forced off the wave and all. Instead of just having fun riding up and down the wave, having to constrict their movement to only one direction, which is away from the person to make sure they do not crash into one another. This makes the wave feel more crowded, so you cannot do as much as you want on the wave. People have to be constantly aware of their surroundings and instead of just focusing solely on having fun and showing their skills. Hemmings referring to the blood that rises, literally and figuratively, when wave hogs block other surfers. In this quote, the blood that rises is referring to the anger other surfers get when being blocked by a wave hog. There is no space for two people on a wave. Even the largest wave can feel crowded with two people on it. A person per wave is a social construct in the surfing community for this reason. This leads to the amazing experience you receive from being solo on a wave. The personal connection with the wave, after tons of patience in finding the perfect one, is a feeling unexplainable. The hours anticipating the perfect wave to crash, or even the good ones in between the perfect one. The anticipation can make you starve for an amazing one. Then it strikes that you are overflowing with joy until you look over your back shoulder and someone is on the same wave as you. When believing that the wave is worth the wait, it is so rewarding, yet so punishing when realizing you are not the only one on it. The worrying of crashing into them or not being able to take the whole experience of the wave can force your hand at a bad experience. People get filled with joy, and it is overall an immaculate feeling when solo on a wave. People feel that the amazing feeling you get while on your wave is stolen when someone else is on it with you. Knowing the wave that you are on belongs to you is an instant reward. When no one else is on it, the experience you get with the wave is wonderful. The feeling of the water splashing up at your face and the freedom of being on the wave solo suddenly can be crushed by another wave hog. Surfing is an amazing experience and a wonderful sport as it is, yet wave hogs can damage the amazing day you had. These three reasons are how annoying wave hogs or people who try to share the same wave as you can be when attempting to have a peaceful time surfing. Without wave hogs, there are less worries, injuries, and a more fun experience can definitely be expected when on the waves.
Thank you, Cameron. Any questions for Cameron? I liked your attention getting material because it related to the topic, but without revealing the topic. And then you came back and told us that, well, now we know something just like that, the surfing. So you did that very well. I like that. Any questions? I never knew that was a thing. Anybody else ever heard of that before? Are you a surfer, Cameron?
I do surf. I mostly go down LBI, but whenever I get the chance, I went to California over the summer, and the waves over there were pretty awesome.
Oh, wow. Way different from here.
Totally different.
Maybe that's why they love it so much out there, huh? Yeah, great. Okay. Any questions for Cameron? Thanks, Cameron. Who'd like to go next?
I can go next.
And I wanted to remind everyone, say your name, especially if you don't have your name written on your camera view there, because I'm going to provide the video and everybody's going to be assigned different speakers to evaluate, so that in case you don't know someone's name, we'll have everybody just say your name before we start. And I did see somebody, Jeronica. Okay, let's see if any other people came in since then. All right, Amy. We're ready when you are.
Picture you're walking down the beach or enjoying a nice ride in your car, and then all of a sudden you see the window open or someone pull their hand out of their pocket and it's filled with a nice wad of garbage, and then it's just dropped, never to be thought of by that person again. I don't know about you, but it really bothers me and potentially can ruin the drive when you see people just litter for no good reason. Not that there's ever a good reason to litter. Littering annoys me mainly because the people are just being lazy. They don't care about the environment, and they tend to be the biggest hypocrites about it in other situations. People who litter tend to just be lazy because you could have just held on to it for a couple minutes, especially at beaches or anywhere. I don't know about other states, but specifically the Jersey Shore, there's garbage cans at every single block. So there's not like, it's not around. They're just being lazy and they don't want to walk the extra 20 feet up towards the boardwalk to throw it out. They could, and if you're just driving, you could put your garbage on your seat, you could put it in your cup holder, you could wait for your destination, or eventually you're gonna have to pull over for gas. So the only reason they're doing it is because they didn't want to waste their time to walk up to a garbage can. So they're just being lazy. People who litter also don't care about the environment. Most garbage doesn't biodegrade for years. According to WWF, most plastic water bottles don't decompose for 450 years, and some plastics can take even longer. So at least if you recycle it or throw it out, it's going to go to a proper place and could potentially be reused for something. If you just throw it in the sand, it's just going to sit in the sand for 450 years until it decomposes. And then by that point, it's more likely to get eaten by wildlife, which is another reason why it's hurting the environment. Because according to the Texas disposal systems, it's estimated that 1 million animals die each year after ingesting or getting trapped in improperly discarded trash, which is litter. So you don't really think about that when you're just dropping your like garbage on the street, but it is potentially killing or hurting animals, which is a bad reason to do it too. And according to sustainability, 12.2 million tons of litter end up in the ocean every year, which is how all these animals are dying, which is also another reason to not litter. But for those who, when they drop their garbage, they don't either think about the animals or they don't care what it's doing to the animals, littering can actually come back and hurt you, because littering causes pollution, which is also bad for the environment. But it goes into the air. So according to the Texas Disposal Distribution, 40% of litter is burned in open air, which causes toxic fumes, which have issues with your respiratory system and cause acid rain. So if you don't care about the animals, at least care about yourself. A third reason why littering bothers me is because I feel they tend to be hypocrites. They're the first people to be upset when garbage gets thrown onto their lawn and they have to pick somebody else's trash up. They roll their eyes when they catch somebody else doing it because they feel that they're never caught in the act, and you almost always are, whether it's by someone you know or not. They act noble in front of people 1 second, and then once they turn their back, they're throwing something out the car window. So they just tend to be more hypocritical when it comes to it. So littering bothers me because of the laziness, the lack of the environment, and the hypocrisy of the people. So if you take one thing away, please be conscious of your littering and the animals in the ocean, and just consider the turtles with the straws in their noses before the next time you litter.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Any questions for Amy? Good attention getting to, I like that. Painted a good visual in our mind. I could even smell it. All right. Who would like to go next?
I can go next.
Okay.
Okay, let me know when you want me to start.
All right, I will. Couple minutes.
Take your time, take your time.
All right. We're ready when you are.
Okay, I'm gonna start. Imagine you had just earned your license. You are young, excited, and finally feel responsible enough to start doing things on your own. You just got your car and can't wait to take it on the road. It's a great time, and now you're comfortable with driving. You're in the city and calmly driving, listening to music, and suddenly have to come to an unexpected stop. You're in a four-way intersection, and the other driver to your right has a stop sign. Unfortunately, they do not stop or slow down like they said they're supposed to, which led you to press on your brakes abruptly. The main problem with this is that it puts my car and I in danger. What if my reaction time was slow and I did not slam on my brakes? I would have ran into him just because he was being selfish and inconsiderate to other drivers. Slamming on the brakes builds heat and pressure, and can cause the hoses to crack and tear. This can create leaks of brake fluid, which breaks your brakes pads. It puts me and my car in harm's way, especially since car maintenance is expensive. Not only would it be dangerous for me, but for pedestrians as well. I live in a city, and as most people know, the city is full of people and cars, especially during school time. Chief of Police Richard stated that we also see a high volume of traffic around all the city and schools. One of our long-term goals is to create traffic plans for every school in the city, which is true. Traffic is a huge problem during the let out of schools. Everyone is rushing to get home, and oftentimes people try to speed, cut, or even ignore important signs like stop signs. I've personally seen many people run through them most times without looking both ways. This puts everyone in danger, especially the pedestrians. Simple things like that can cause fatal accidents that could have easily been avoided if people respected the road. Having all these worries and scenarios playing in your head can cause anxiety as well. Driving and getting into an accident is a huge fear of mine. I used to be more afraid to drive on the highway because of speed and how much the impact would be if I were to get in an accident, but now I see that driving on the highway is much better compared to the smaller roads in the city by the schools. You don't have to worry about stop signs, people ignoring them. Now I learned that I have to be more aware, which is a good thing. However, it's kind of annoying having a constant anxiety just to get where you need to go safely because of careless drivers. Sometimes anxiety can get the best of people and make them too paranoid. In conclusion, driving through a stop sign without slowing down or stopping is what annoys me the most. It is ignorant, very inconsiderate. They make driving not fun anymore. It feels like more of a task than something that I used to consider a hobby.
All right. She can't hear you, but she can see you if you want to clap.
Thank you, thank you.
Good attention getting too. You guys are nailing the attention getting to that. All right, who'd like to go next? Any questions for Destiny? All right. Who'd like to go next? Is that you, Jeronica, you wanted to go next?
Sure.
Okay, so I didn't see your documents in the, you didn't submit it?
No.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna hold off, all right? And then we'll come back to you. Okay.
Chloe can go next.
All right. Chloe, did she volunteer, Chloe? Oh, you volunteered.
No, Chloe. Like.
Oh, okay. I thought that was
I
Jeronica.
thought you said that you want us to say our name.
Okay.
Oh, no.
All right. I was going to say, Veronica, are you volunteering, Chloe? What did she do to you? Okay. Just kidding. All right. All right, Chloe, let me get your stuff. Okay, we're ready when you are.
Picture yourself after a long day of work and you do not feel like cooking a whole meal. And you think to yourself, I'll just have a bowl of cereal. So you walk in the kitchen, you get the bowl, you pour in the cereal, you open the fridge, and there's not enough milk. You become frustrated and annoyed that now you have to eat dry cereal because you are hungry. I find people that do not replace the milk annoy me because it's inconsiderate, irresponsible, and definitely disrespectful. People that do not replace the milk annoy me because it's inconsiderate to others, because it only because it only takes a few seconds to think about someone else. Think about how much you have used and if there is a valid reason to leave a small amount in the carton. What if you were in my shoes and you were really craving some milk and there was only a little swiggle or none at all? For example, when you eat something really hot, you're supposed to submerge your mouth in milk. When you eat something that's over your spice capacity and you are in emergency need of milk, so you go in the fridge and there's none, what would you do? If I explain to you the reason why it's inconsiderate to not replace the milk, it's also irresponsible. A carton of milk only costs a few dollars, and there should be no reason why there's no milk. Milk is one of the most common grocery list items. When I personally go food shopping, I usually purchase at least 2 gallons, and even if you don't use it, it's really good if you freeze it. The price of 1 gallon of milk varies between state to state, between localities within states, and between the sellers. For the purposes of this article by Ballotpedia, they determine the cost of a gallon of milk in each capital. In order to ensure comparable data, all prices, unless otherwise noted, are a great value, 2% reduced fat milk sold at Walmart. As of September 2018, the price of 1 gallon of milk ranged from 93 cents in Illinois and $4.69 in Hawaii. In New Jersey, the average price of milk is $2.83. And I'm not knocking anybody's struggle, but that is not a lot of money where it can't be replaced. It is irresponsible because it is common sense that if you use something, you should replace it. Sigmund Freud once said, most people do not really want freedom because freedom involves responsibility. And most people are frightened of responsibility. So I've explained to you why not replacing milk carton is inconsiderate and irresponsible. I will now explain to you my third and final reason. Why not replacing milk is just disrespectful. By leaving a small amount of milk, it is really a waste of time and energy. Having myself think there's enough milk for my cereal and start to use this argument and question somebody, why did you leave this much milk in the refrigerator? Shannon L. Adler once said, staying silent is like a slow growing cancer to the soul and a trait of a true coward. There is nothing intelligent about not standing up for yourself. You may not win every battle. However, everyone will at least know what you stood for. What I mean is state how you feel. Someone may hear you out and change their motive next time. Another fact that I should say is I don't have a problem sharing, but when you don't replace it, that's what makes you not willing to share. Luke 6:30 and 31 says, give to everyone who asks you, and from someone who takes your things, don't ask for them back. Just as you want others to do for you, do the same for them. In conclusion, by now, you should know that my biggest pet peeve is milk chugging thieves who are inconsiderate, irresponsible, and disrespectful. If you're one of these thieves, you should probably were never the same situation when you had a full bowl of cereal waiting for your big bowl, really, and there's no milk. And if you were, and you just want to be petty, it's even more wrong. 2 wrongs don't make a right. So next time you plan on leaving an empty milk carton, be courteous to others. And always remember, give, and it shall be given unto you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chloe. Very good delivery.
That last statement where you said you fill up the cereal and there's no milk in the fridge really hit me.
Right.
Hit me deep. That
I
hit me
know.
deep.
I mean, me being a mom, sometimes when you have to make a meal, because when you have a toddler, you have to start making them eat different things. And you're like, I just want a bowl of cereal, and there's no milk. Like
That late night cereal. I know what you
that
mean.
late night cereal. Yeah.
Good. Really enjoyed the closing remarks too.
Thank you.
Okay, who'd like to go next? One second. Minimize all recording, okay. Okay, Jeronica, you volunteered, so we're ready for you.
Okay. Yeah. You want me to start?
Yes.
Okay. Anthony Lynchon once said, worse than talking with a mouthful is gossiping with a mouthful. I always laugh at that quote. I don't know what's worse, but the fact that a person would consider moving their mouth to speak while they're chewing down on mush food and their saliva. My question is, why do we do that? Sorry, I meant, why do people think that it's okay or it's normal to do? Just why? Today I am here to discuss about why I am annoyed with people who talk while chewing food. There are many reasons why someone should have considered talking when there's food in your mouth. Okay. Imagine sitting at a table with someone and you're enjoying your meal. Then the other person starts talking. Okay, you're realizing that piece of that broccoli that they're chewing on flew on your plate. Now everything that they're saying is going through one ear out the other. You're staring at that piece of broccoli in disgust. Now you lost your appetite. This is how I started to get annoyed with people that talk when there's food in their mouth. The 3 reasons why I'm annoyed with people that talk with their mouths are full is that it is bad table manners. They might spit onto their listener's face or their plate. And lastly, it's hazardous. Talking when your mouth is full is bad table manners because it's not pleasant to see and it makes it harder to understand what is being said. It's not pleasant to see others chewing while you're talking because the food becomes mushy and slimy, and no one don't want to see that while eating. When the food becomes mushy, as you try to speak, your words wouldn't be clear to comprehend. It's very easy for someone to make a mistake and spit onto someone's face while talking. But talking while eating is one of the biggest mistakes to do at the table or in front of people. Not only that, you are chewing and talking, but you're also spitting pieces of food and some saliva onto people's plate and face. The dinner table should be a germ-free area. Talking while your mouth is full may cause someone else to lose their appetite. That is just disgusting and should not be recommended. If a person wants to say something when there's food in their mouth, they can try to use a napkin to put over their mouth before talking. Lastly, I'm annoyed with people that talk with their mouth is full because it's hazardous. Talking while eating can cause you to choke or it can be fatal. No one don't want to see that. No one don't want that to happen at all. But if you know the standards, precautions, and you disregard them when you talk, when your mouth is full, I find that that's very inconsiderate. It becomes annoying and stressful afterwards because most times when people talk with their mouth full, they're most likely going to choke. Have you ever witnessed someone in a restaurant and they started choking? Only because they were talking with a mouth full. That causes an unnecessary scenery and first and second hand embarrassment that could have been prevented. As you may want to have a conversation about how good the food tastes or ask someone how was their day, but we also would like to sit comfortably eating our meal without losing our appetite. So always remember, chew your food, then swallow before you talk, because you just may be insulting people around you and you've saving yourself from choking. Thank you for listening.
Good quote, got our attention, and very vivid examples. All right, who would like to go next?
I'll go next. It's Alyssa.
Alyssa. Okay, Alyssa, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. As a cashier, your job is to check out all the customers in your line. You need to scan all the items and put them into bags. Now imagine the busiest time of day at the store, and two of your coworkers have called out, leaving you and only one other person on the register. The lines are down the aisles, and you start to hear the customers complaining. To make matters worse, you have an extremely long line, and the belt is full of stuff while your customer is standing there watching you. This is extremely rude to me that customers stand there and watch you bag because it wastes time. Other customers get impatient and frustrated, and they end up rearranging it to do it themselves anyway, which takes up more time and space. Time is very precious to those with little patience. It is also frustrating for anyone to waste time. When time can be saved by bagging your own groceries, others around you, specifically behind you, will appreciate it. Bagging your groceries also helps your cashier by quickly getting through all the customers and giving them a break from what they constantly do all day. Small orders or even one item is more socially acceptable to not bag yourself, but a whole cart full is not an exception. Time can be saved, and it can take away the cashier's anxiety when people bag their own groceries. Patience is a virtue, and not everyone has it. People who want to get in and out of the store do not want to stand in long lines, especially when things can go a lot faster, meaning people bagging their own groceries. It is not only the people who stand there that frustrate other customers. Some people get annoyed with the cashier because they're too slow or they're taking their sweet time. Lots of cashiers get anxious when the store is busy because they want to get the customers in and out quickly with no issues. They never know what to expect from people. If there ever is an issue, it takes up even more time and bottles up more frustration in the customers waiting. The most frustrating thing about customers not bagging their groceries is when they go through all their bags at the end and proceed to undo it and rearrange it right in front of you. If you're not going to bag it all, take what you get and leave. It wastes more of your time, the cashier's time, and everyone else's time that's waiting in line. Why would you watch your bags be made and then do it all over again? If people are that worried about what's going in together and what needs to be separate, they should do it themselves or say something while the cashier is doing it. Okay.
Moral of the story, people need to start bagging their own groceries to be considerate of the other customers and the cashier. If not, let the takeaway be, if you do not bag your own groceries, take them how they are and be on your way. It annoys me when people do not bag their groceries because it wastes my time, your time. The other customers get frustrated and they end up doing it themselves anyway. Next time you go to a grocery store, please think of this speech and bag your own groceries for the sake of the cashier and other customers. Thank you. This is just like a little add-on because I don't want anyone thinking like I hate my job. I love bagging groceries because I like organizing, but when it's busy, I hate it so much. Like if it's not busy, I like talking to the people and like making like the paper and plastic bags, like putting everything all together neatly. Like I love it, but I just hate it so much when I see lines form. So that's my little add-on.
I imagine people do a lot of things that annoy you at that checkout counter.
Listen, I
I
try
see
not.
the people in front of me and I'm like, oh, that poor checkout person, I feel bad for them.
Yeah, luckily where I work, there's like mostly regulars that come in, or like people like who aren't regulars if they've never been there, they get like
Okay.
a few things because they've never been there. But some people, oh my goodness, you see them and you're automatically mad before you start checking them out. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Any questions for Alyssa? Thank you, Alyssa. Okay, who would like to go next? Lisa. Okay. That was like telepathy. I kept looking at you. Pick up your paper.
Mhm.
All right.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, we're ready. I'm ready.
Oh, sorry. As a child, I remember my mom ignoring me every time I'd interrupt her conversations. I know we've all been there. As children, remember going up to your mom in the middle of a conversation and thinking she was just not listening to you and getting louder and louder and saying, Mom, 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 Ma, 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 until she could hear you. Though eventually I learned that interrupting others in the middle of a conversation is not courteous. And that was the reason why my mom was ignoring me. It seems to me that a lot of us as adults have still not learned this lesson. Do not get me wrong. I know sometimes some conversations need to be interrupted. And sure, we all have to cut someone off in the middle of a conversation once we've all cut someone off in the middle of a conversation once in our lifetime. But have you ever cut someone off more than 2, 3, or 4 times in a row? If you have, I feel your pain. Chronic interrupters annoy me, absolutely annoy me, because they are impatient, they are disrespectful, and are self-centered. First of all, chronic interrupters annoy me because they are impatient. They cannot wait till I'm just done talking. Just cut me off in the middle of a sentence or a thought. I understand being eager to share your opinions, but come on, you can wait till I'm done talking. Having to restart my conversation over and over again becomes frustrating after a while. I'm sure we can all understand that. Worst of all, their impatience at times causes me to forget what I was even going to say. This is why, the first reason why chronic interrupters annoy me. Not only are they impatient, but to me personally, I find that quite rude. This leads me to my second reason why chronic interrupters annoy me, which is they're disrespectful to me and to others that might be involved in the conversation as well. They don't care whether they cut me off in the middle of the conversation, nor do they consider how it might make me feel. At times, I feel like what I'm saying is not important enough to be heard. And additionally, I really feel belittled. It shows a lack of respect for other people that are in the conversation as well, who might not have time to just hear one side of the story or one person's opinion. Leading to my third and last reason why chronic interrupters annoy me, which is that they are self-centered. They like to overshadow conversations with their opinions and ideas. Sometimes I can't even get a word in, but must be subjected to hearing them all day long. Then at times they're even oblivious that they constantly do it, or that they're just changing the conversation, not giving me a chance to finish what I was saying to begin with. Not to mention, if I dare interrupt them while they're talking, then I'm the rude one. Overall, people who constantly interrupt me while I'm speaking irritate me because they are impatient. They make it seem like my thoughts do not matter and overshadow the conversation. Conversations are meant to be a two-way street. If you want to have a one-way conversation, I suggest talking to yourself in the mirror. So unless you want people to start ignoring you, please do not rudely interrupt anyone, whether mid-sentence or mid-thought.
Thank you, Lisa. I think some other people in the class probably share that as well, right? Being interrupted. Any questions for Lisa? All right, thank you. All right, who is next?
I can.
I could go next.
Okay. All right, we're ready when you are.
All right. So you have probably heard of mukbangs throughout the years, eating videos where people tend to sit in front of a camera and eat. Mukbangs started out in South Korea around 2010, but I only came to hear about them last year while in quarantine. I was amused, to say the least, to see just how many people were making these types of videos and just how many people watched them. You have also probably heard of ASMR videos, autonomous sensory meridian response videos, which give people a tingling feeling from a particular sound. Well, you put those two together and you give me my pet peeve. Loud chewing or open mouth chewing makes my blood boil. I find it unnecessary, rude, and distracting when people chew with their mouth open, often getting louder as they chew. Eating with your mouth open is unnecessary and can be easily avoided. Not smacking your lips together so loudly can help you not make noise while you eat. Grabbing big bites of food can also be a cause for open mouth chewing and make it more difficult for someone to eat with their mouth closed, as all the food does not fit in their mouth at once. Finding different ways to avoid chewing with your mouth open is easy. We just have to take the time to learn and practice how to eat with our mouths closed. When I was younger, I was one of them. I was a loud open mouth chewer. I remember my stepdad sat me down one day and he told me I could not eat that way anymore because it stressed him out. He would make me sit and practice chewing with my mouth closed, and whenever I would start to eat with my mouth open, he would pat me on my shoulder and shoot me quite a threatening look. I guess I have my stepdad to thank for my pet peeve. Open mouth chewing is seen as rude and not having good manners, at least in America and to me. There are many countries where eating with your mouth open is praised and seen as a form of enjoyment of the food being eaten. But being able to see the chewed up food and its bits and pieces flying everywhere can be very off-putting. It shows a person is careless or not thoughtful of others to try and hide the chewed up food in their mouth while they eat. Eating with your mouth open can be distracting as nobody wants to see or hear what you have in your mouth while you eat. The loud sounds one's mouth makes when eating with their mouth open can also be very distracting, especially at the dinner table or if they're eating in a quiet place. Imagine you are at the library trying to study or finishing a speech for your speech and human communications class, when suddenly you hear the smacking of lips or a loud crunching noise. You turn around and you see someone crunching away on some Cool Ranch Doritos and another person smacking on some gum. You cannot concentrate on your work because all you hear is crunch, chew, and swallow repeatedly. Loud chewing noises have been found to influence learning and being able to retain information. Some people are especially sensitive to relatively subtle, specific background sounds like chewing, and this sensitivity can be distracting enough to impair learning, wrote co-author Logan Fiorella in the study he was performing on loud chewing distractions. This is known as misophonia, a disorder that can cause sensitivity to common sound triggers, including eating sounds such as chewing, throat sounds, nasal sounds, such as a person blowing their nose, and repetitive noises such as tapping or clicking of a pen. Hearing and seeing people eat with their mouths open is not a pretty sight. It irritates me as loud and open mouth eating is unnecessary, rude, and distracting. Next time you see someone chewing with their mouth open, feel free to tell them to close it, if they look friendly. If you are a loud chewer yourself, be mindful of everyone around you because you never know who might be dying inside because all they can focus on is the food swirling around in your mouth. If I don't choose to watch ASMR mukbangs on YouTube, I definitely don't want to watch them live in my home or while I am out.
Thank you, Brenda. Got two more to go.
Me?
Julia and Gabby.
Me. I can go.
Okay. Any questions for Brenda at all? Anybody? All right. We're ready for you, Gabby. That was you that said me, right?
Sorry?
That was Gabby that said me. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I wasn't looking. I thought that was it.
Okay. If there are no errors to save you, you have to become a hero. The bullying is a word that means harms, that is, not a other person in a constant way, hurting them or making them feel inferior to others, to the point of presenting a very aggressive attitudes. For bullying to occur, it requires a person who is the bully or abuser and another who is the victim. It is very alarming problem in society. Sign is launched from a simple push. Offensive words to humiliation of all kinds, which cause psychological damage to a strong that can even cause suicide of the victim. The abuse of the people is presented in various environments. Among the most common is at work, school, and cyberbullying. Is characterized by an abuse of power and desire to intimidate and dominate another, leaving the victim totally defenseless. The word in the word can be present in various forms, such as verbal, physical, and psychological attacks. These attacks occur at the verbal levels of the companies, either between colleagues of the same rank or from the bosses or the employees, using as top personal characteristic, race, religions, and even the language. And depending on the intensity of the person can lead to disruption of the interpersonal relationship with another or exclude a colleague from their normal work or discard them. An example is also when one person is a verbal assaulted when another person, but the language is a problem because another person don't have enough speak, for example, the English or Spanish. The another form of the bullying is characterized as an emotional attack by a group of young people on a worker or unprotected person. Unfortunately, it is an incredibly common occurrence in the schools where the levels of violence or cruelty are on the rise. It's important to be attentive to the reaction of children when they are victims of bullying, show changes in behavior such as looking themselves in their room, no one to eat, begin sad or not waiting to go to the school, which can alert the parents that something is happening. If this type of symptoms are found, in the psychological support should be given to the child. It is also important to listen to the child and not about any of his or her words, but she should never take justice into our hands and show violence with more violence. It is important to encourage the child to the news, the situation on their teachers, and if necessary to go to the authorities. The cyberbullying occurs when a person is the victim of some kinds of the violence and individual groups. This type of attack is characterized by the improved use of information technology, such as the internet, text message, instant messaging, online games. It is a problem that mainly affects children and adolescents due to the number of hours they spend online because they don't imagine what they can get to do. There are different forms to type of that digital violence, such as harassment, stalking, the dissemination of the intimate images, fake profiles, and grooming. And the grooming is a real problem that affects anyone regardless of age, religion, sexual orientation, or ethnic. It's important that parents cover confidence to young people to talk about this situation and pay attention to certain signs that may indicate that their child may be victim of some form of the cyberbullying. In conclusion, the bullying is a way to attacking on the people in various areas, such as the work, causing a bad reputation, either by race, religion, or any job. As a result, leaves conflicts between the college, making it difficult to coexist and the work. The other hand, we have in the schools is when we have the schools which are the most outstanding with case of bullying against the children through blows. And the last one is in the cyberbullying, is in the social media. So with the parents need to pay attention with the child how to use these artifacts for the another people. This situation is very important, and the aggression sound, the people who carry out this type of aggression signs many times they end up and situation is out of control. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Gabby? Okay, Gabby, thank you. And our last speech. It's going to be Julia.
Hey, are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever logged into your email just to see it spammed with unnecessary emails? You open up and read each and every email because it appears like it could be important. However, after reading them, you realize that the email has nothing to do with you. People who hit reply all on every email annoy me because they waste my time, they clutter my inbox, and it is just unprofessional in some scenarios. So people who reply all in every email waste my time. Reading through a whole email chain just to realize that it is none of your concern is an inconvenience to say the least. There are more important things to respond to and read. As the article Escape the Email Logjam states, the more emails you send and receive will obviously affect your and others' productivity. Hitting reply all in every email is unprofessional. Some emails are not meant for all to see. In many instances, people will hit reply all to be quick about responding. It's just more convenient. But they do not realize that they should only be sending the email to specific people. There was actually a time at work when a customer of ours sent an email chain to us about their internal business projects. It was actually about their company Christmas party, which was pretty embarrassing to be including their supplier on. This was obviously a big mistake on their part because they selected the reply all. And then reply all also clutters my inbox. It is annoying to go through and delete the many messages that are irrelevant to me. As bad email habits suggest, use reply all sparingly and be certain every recipient needs to read your response. Think before you send an email. In conclusion, my pet peeve is people who hit reply all to every email because it is a waste of my time, it clutters my inbox, and it is unprofessional. Maybe you have never fallen victim to being on long email chains that are none of your concern, or maybe you did not know the annoyances of being included on emails that you do not need to look at. But I hope the takeaway from this is to be mindful of who you are sending emails to and to be selective about who you're sending emails to. When in doubt, do not let your immediate reaction to be reply all. Nobody needs a clutter of unnecessary emails. Taking the extra minute to copy only the necessary people on an email goes a long way, especially if you're in a business position and you're sending emails out to people.
Any questions for Julia? I don't like when people clutter my email with all that reply all either. I got enough junk mail in there. All right, that's it then, I believe. And we did it in an hour. That's it, right? Nobody else. All right. Very good. I've seen a marked improvement in everyone, even with your confidence. So you know better, you do better, right? Yeah. All right, so tonight I'm not going to keep you long. The speech is enough, I think. You can try to start getting started on some of your research for your informative speeches. Catch up on any other items that you need to catch up on. Are there any questions so far about anything? Good job tonight. One thing overall, I want people to also be mindful about your camera. Where's your eye when you are delivering your speech? And try to look up some from your notes. And don't continuously look at your notes. You have to look around the room, look around the audience to include everyone. Don't get too caught up in your speech and forget about your audience and connecting with them. But most people did the attention getters very well, so that was a good thing. And most people did incorporate your main points into your central ideas. That was good. That's good. Some of you still haven't progressed with the connectives. So try to remember that for next time. You want to include your connectives and with your speech. Overall, good improvement from everyone. So I'm proud of that improvement. Okay, so again, are there any questions at all? Concerns? Next week, we will cover the chapter on persuasive speaking. And hopefully we'll get through special occasion speeches as well. And if we do, then you'll be able to have off that week of Thanksgiving and get some research done. Okay. All right, there being no questions, everybody have a wonderful evening, a great rest of your week, and stay safe. Good night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Professor.
Jim.
Professor.
Good night.
Have a great night.
Thank you.